The U.S. Patent Office, a place of innovation, genius, and sometimes the utterly bizarre. We usually think of groundbreaking technology or life-saving medicine, but deep within its archives lies a hidden world devoted to one universal truth. We all die. Today, we are diving into the strange, fascinating, and sometimes chilling world of patents for the dearly departed. From a coffin designed to stop decomposition to an alarm system for the almost dead, prepare to see death through the eyes of the American inventor from the archives. Before we get to the weird stuff, let's talk about the bureaucracy of death. I was generally surprised to find just how detailed the U.S. Patent Office is when it comes to inventions for the dead. They don't just lump everything under burial. Oh no. There is a main class, A61G, which covers funeral devices, and then it gets specific. We are talking subclassifications for coffins with cooling arrangements for the corpse, coffins specially adapted to be cremated, and my favorite, fittings for coffins. Who knew? The human need to invent and classify is so strong that we've coded everything down to the material of the biodegradable urn. But the truly interesting inventions are the ones that sprung from fear, necessity, and eternal love. Let's get started with my favorite piece of macabre engineering, the Fisk Metal Burial Coffin. Patented in 1848, this invention was designed for one crucial purpose: preservation and transport. This wasn't a standard wooden box. The patent describes a metallic shell cast using metal and shaped as closely as possible to the human body, almost mummy-looking. This made it light, compact, and crucially sealable. The two thin metal shells, upper and lower, joined in the center, creating a strong, nearly airtight environment. So why was this needed? Imagine the 1800s. People were moving vast distances, and if a loved one died far from home, transporting the body for burial was a nightmare. The Fisk coffin was the solution, a metallic vault that would survive the journey. And boy, did it survive. We actually are digging them up all the time, sometimes intact, sometimes they're not. The enduring nature of the Fisk coffin is best illustrated by a heartbreaking real story that is Kate Kingsbury. Kate was a pioneer woman who suffered from consumption, and her husband, John, desperately tried to save her by moving her to a drier climate such as Santa Fe, New Mexico in 1850. When Kate's health worsened when she was visiting back east, John was determined to bring her home to Santa Fe, even if it was for burial. So he packed a zinc metal Fisk coffin on the wagon. In June 1857, she died on the Santa Fe Trail. John's determination paid off. The sealed coffin preserved her body for the long trip. But the story doesn't end there. Kate's headstone, considered the oldest in Santa Fe, exists today. However, recent construction at the original Old Fellows Cemetery, where she was first buried, unearthed a metal coffin and remains. It's now believed that when her body was supposed to be moved to the new cemetery years later, only part of her, or maybe even none of her, made it under that final headstone. Think about the irony. John worked so hard to bring her home intact in that amazing metal coffin, only for her to be lost or fragmented to time and bureaucracy. It is a tragic footnote to a brilliant invention. I was actually able to locate the original 1848 handwritten patent application for the Fisk coffin in the archives, handwritten by A.D. Fisk himself. Now let's talk about a chilling fear that was surprisingly common in the 19th century: being buried alive. The medical science of the day wasn't perfect, and the thought of waking up 6 feet under inspired a bizarre yet ingenious series of inventions, often referred to as dead ringers. The U.S. Patent Office archives are filled with diagrams of safety coffins. These are special burial caskets, popular in the 18th and 19th century, designed to prevent premature burial and allow a mistakenly deceased person to signal for help. They were equipped with various mechanisms, such as cords connected to bells, breathing tubes, flags, or viewing panels to alert people above ground in case of revival. The widespread fear of being buried alive, especially during times like cholera epidemics, drove the invention and patenting of these devices. One such device, this 1887 patent called Device for Indicating Life in Buried Persons. This patent was basically an underground alarm system. The inventor equipped the coffin with a crucial opening for an air pipe. Inside, the buried person, who was apparently dead, could pull a chain or rope. Pulling the rope did 2 things simultaneously. It opened a plate on the air pipe, letting in a gasp of fresh air. Secondly, it closed an electric circuit which activated an alarm at the surface. Another version is the Kowski dead ringer device, patented a few years later in 1893. The Patent Office classified this invention under the safety classification, specifically devices for allowing seemingly dead persons to escape or draw attention. This tells you how real this fear was, that they had a whole classification for it. The inventors weren't crazy. They were responding to a genuine social anxiety. I love going to cemeteries all over the country, and I have only seen the remnants of these devices at the Bonaventure Cemetery outside of Savannah, Georgia. And by the way, the Bonaventure is one of the most popular cemeteries in the United States to tour, for its beauty and its eeriness. I believe this one might have been similar to the Kowski device. At the time, I asked the tour guide, and he had never noticed it before. I'm not sure what other purpose this structure might have. If you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments. The grave belongs to several of the Cope's very young children and is within the Cope plot. Another in the Bonaventure Cemetery is at the grave of Charles F. Mills. Mr. Mills was a prominent and wealthy Savannah businessman in the 19th century, a merchant running a line of steamers on the Savannah River. He also served as the president of the Marine Bank of Georgia. He was buried in the Bonaventure Cemetery on April 11th, 1876, at the age of 74. Alongside Mr. Mills' large tombstone is what is said to be a grave bell. The structure sits on top of a pipe raising a few inches from the grave. If Mr. Mills was buried alive, his movements would ring the bell and alert the cemetery staff. Attendants could then pump fresh air down the pipe until the coffin's occupant was disinterred and rescued. But here's the thing. Bonaventure is huge, and the thought that anyone would hear the bell seems unlikely to me. A popular legend claims the phrase graveyard shift comes from a time when people feared being buried alive, and grave watchmen worked graveyard shifts to listen for bells attached to coffins. While the fear of premature burial was real and led to the inventions and patents of these safety coffins, this is not the source of the work shift term. It actually is first documented as coming from the mining industry. This also goes for the phrase, saved by the bell. While there is a popular myth that the phrase comes from safety coffins equipped with bells prevent burying people alive, there is no solid evidence to support this as the origin of the phrase. Then there is the phrase dead ringer. It has its origins in the 19th century horse racing world, where a ringer was a horse that was secretly substituted for another in a race to deceive bookmakers. The word dead was added to emphasize the exact or precise similarity between the two horses. While other theories about the safety coffins and buried alive situations exist, the horse racing origin is widely considered to be the true root of the phrase. But the phrase was used for these safety coffin device patents in the 19th century. Going back to Mr. Mills' grave, we can also see another safety feature on his headstone. If you look closely at his headstone's carved flowers, you can see air vents in the center of the primrose flowers, which would further save Mr. Mills if buried alive. Finally, let's jump to patents with a truly romantic, if slightly impractical, inventions. Forget the fear of death. This one is all about internal love. I present to you the Tandem Casket system with interconnecting passageways to accommodate hand-holding of the deceased persons. That's right, a patent granted in the 21st century, expiring in 2036. The system consists of two caskets side by side. They are interconnected by a central passageway. The idea? The hands of the dearly departed occupants can be positioned to hold hands for all eternity. It is an ingenious beautiful and slightly odd tribute to lasting love, you have to admire the inventor's dedication to solving the ultimate relationship challenge, maintaining physical contact even after death. Although I couldn't find a patent for a casket that fits a couple or a family, these pictures show they are out there, and it is not a new concept. From the engineering marvel of a preservation coffin, born from necessity and travel, to the alarms designed to combat a primal fear, to a modern system for eternal hand-holding, these patents are more than just diagrams. They are windows into the fears, hopes, and sheer creativity of humanity when faced with death. They remind us that no matter how strange the problem, someone, somewhere, is working on a patent to solve it. Thank you for joining us today. We invite you to watch all our videos from famous funerals to diving into the archives to find generations of history.